Hey, glad you are joining us. We are here with Magdalene Rose, and we're going to get to learn all about what is happening with their band and what they're up to. So glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you've been on tour recently, right?
Yes, we literally just got off the road and we are about to go back on the road tomorrow night.
Wow. Small little window, right? Of like peace and rest.
Yeah. And normally the first of the year is like that. It's like, okay, we're on the road, then we're home, then we're on the road, then we're home, and then you get into summer and you're like, okay, then we're just gonna be on the road for a while now.
Right, right. Hitting all the festivals and all the
Mhm.
shows. I know that's got to be crazy busy.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun though, and I honestly feel like it's a little bit more difficult to do, like, the few shows on, few shows home, few shows on, because you can't really get into any sort of routine, like, you can't get used to being on tour, and you can't get used to being at home, but when you do the long runs, it's like, "Okay, I'm used to being on tour, we're gonna be on tour for, like, 2 months, this is just life," and then you get to be home for, like, a month, and you're like, "Okay, this is life." So, when you're,
That's
like,
true.
so, like, whiplash, it's a little bit I don't know, I feel like I get a little tired a little easier.
I can understand that, right? Because, like, the longer you're on tour, you get into rhythms and routines, where if
Mhm.
it's, like, short little spurts, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is Magdalene Rose? Tell me about the band, who plays with you. Just tell me your story.
Yeah, so Magdalene Rose started in 2023, and it's just my full name. That I used to be in a band with my sisters, and God kind of called us in different directions at the end of 2022, and I had never wanted to be a solo artist ever, and it became very clear that that was where God was pushing me into, and I was like, "Why? I'm so scared to do this. I don't wanna do this." But I had a great group of people around me supporting me and pushing me and challenging me to do things that I was scared to do or that maybe I just was fighting with God about. And
Yeah.
so the Seventh Day Slumber, I'm like married into their family. Their drummer is my husband. And
Cool.
so he automatically was like, I'll drum for your band. So Blaze Rojas is my drummer and my husband. And Weston Evans was playing guitar for Seventh Day Slumber. And he automatically was like, I'll play guitar for you. You know, if it doesn't work out, if you decide you don't want to do this, like, it doesn't have to be long term, but I would love to do this with you. And so I was like, "Yeah, I mean, sure. I don't have anybody else, and you're, like, one of my closest friends, so let's do it." And it was just us 3 for a while. We had a few different bass players and guitar players kind of, going back and forth. But then a couple years ago, we found Zach Gallipo, who is another guitar player that is in our band now, and we found him through Instagram because Weston had stepped
Oh,
down to
wow.
help volunteer with the church and build a church in Texas, and so I just made a post. I was like, "Hey guys, I really need a guitar player if there's anybody who would like to try out." And his brother found the post and tagged him and was like, "Hey, you should bring my brother on tour." And he hadn't even been really using his Instagram for at least a few months, if not a year or something, but it had all of his guitar videos, and so we messaged him, we're like, "Hey, your brother said we should reach out to you. I think you could play this song. Would you be down?" That he learned them in a couple days, came out on the road, and we were like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy." So now we have
That's awesome.
like stand for members who are not going anywhere, which is really cool because for a while we were doing like the revolving member thing. So I'm the singer. I am Magdalene Rose, but everybody calls me Maggie. Blaze Rojas is my drummer. Weston Evans is a guitar player, and Zach Gallipo is a guitar player. And it's been awesome because Zach also has a wife who gets to come out on the road sometimes. So I have a friend to hang out with.
You're like, yay, another girl, right?
Yes, we are very outnumbered on the bus. Thank you so much.
That is awesome. Okay, so how did you and your husband meet? Is it when you were playing with your sisters?
Yeah, so Seventh Day Slumber brought my original band GFM on our very first tour, and he has 2 brothers who were still on the road at the time helping with, like, crew work and stuff, and they were the same age as me and my 2 sisters, so we were just like, "Oh my goodness, people our age to hang out with, this is so cool," and we'd play video games, and we'd talk and just hang out like kids would, and we were very close friends at first, and then it just continued to grow into something more.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So do y'all enjoy the fact that you get to tour together? Like, what does that look like if you're doing separate tours?
Yeah, so it's been awesome because Seventh Day has been kind enough to just be like, "Hey, if we play shows and they'll let you jump on, like, we'll bring you on tour." So, we've been touring with Seventh Day for the past 3 years, and
Okay.
it's just been great because my relationship with him for the first, like, 7 years was long distance, and it sucked so bad, and it was hard to be on different tours, and then even when we were home, we were in different states, and so now I get to be with him all the time, which is so awesome. It's so fun because we get to be with family. And,
Yes.
yeah, his dad is the lead singer of Seventh Day Slumber, his mom is the tour manager, so we have parents on the road, and we have some other married couples on the road, so it really is like, everybody in, like, the workplace is like, "Oh, our workplace is a big family," but the bus is different because you actually have to live with people and you actually have to like them, so it does become like an actual family, and, um, it's just so much fun to be surrounded by so many people that, like, you have to somewhat, like, have this image at a show where you have to be this rock star on stage, and then when you go to the table, even if you're having a bad day or a rough day, it's like, "Okay, well, I have to be here for these people, that's why I'm doing this, that's what my job is," but also I don't wanna, like, skim out on any of the people that came to the show, and so it's awesome to have people when you go back to the bus, you could like, don't have to have any of that on, it's just like, "Okay, I'm just gonna take a second to breathe. We're gonna watch dumb YouTube videos and not do anything, and so it's really cool, but recently we've been talking about, like, maybe in the in-between sections of when Seventh Day isn't touring, trying to book tours with Magdalene Rose, either with another band or just solo tours, which is definitely scary, but we got a van last year, and
Yeah.
we did a few tours or not a few tours, a few shows, that were just Magdalene Rose only ones, and they were scary, and we blew a tire, but it was lots of fun, and we had to drive through the night to get back home for a bus call to go on tour with Seventh Day literally right after. So, definitely a little bit
Goodness.
stressful, but it's cool to be able to grow as a band like that too, and know that there's still a family to fall back on. It's like, okay, if there's no shows that ever come in for only Magdalene Rose, like right now, we still have a tour with Seventh Day that they're willing to bring us on, which is really awesome. So we're kind of in that weird stage where we're growing and trying to figure that out and do things in between. And so, like one day when Seventh Day isn't touring, that hopefully we will be able to have some sort of like group of people who are like, "Oh, yeah, we'll bring you in." We'll be able to continue to
Yes.
do it for a really long time. So we're in that process right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think what like, I want to dig a little bit deeper into what you were saying just a second ago about performing being your job, right? But you are still living life and things
Mhm.
happen. And sometimes it's a bad day, and sometimes there's hard things that come in. And I don't know that people always think about like for headliners, it'll be all over the news, like so and so is going through this or so
Yeah.
and so is going through that. But like for small bands that are touring around and doing shows, I don't know that people often think about what their lives are like off stage. And
Mhm.
so what's been your experience with kind of, keeping those two segregated to where do you ever use the stage as a place to kinda pour out what's happening with you in the hopes that maybe you're encouraging somebody, or do you try and keep it separate?
I think there's definitely parts of it where I do that. I never want to take something that I'm going through that involves other people and just, like, air your dirty laundry out
Right.
because I don't agree with doing that, and there's some days that do that, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, can you please not do that?"
Yes.
But there is something to, like, being honest with people, and honest with your performance, and, just there's been days where I've just been having a terrible day or things are going in my life that are just like, "Oh my goodness, I have no idea why this is happening, I don't know how to fix it," and then the second you go on stage, it's like, "Okay, this is time to get that out," and so some of those performances look a little different, some of the screams of the singing sounds a little different because it's just raw emotion going into it, and then you feel a lot better when you get off stage, you're like, "Okay, I'm good to talk to people again." And then there's
Hey, that's
even
a good
times
point, actually,
yeah,
being able to, like, scream and get out that aggression. "Arr!"
Yeah, it does genuinely help at times, and then there's times where it's like, you are a little bit more honest with people on stage. It's like either you tell them like, "Hey, we're just having not a great night tonight, so thank you for being here, and we just wanna, be able to give back to you guys." Or, like, there's been times when we've had bus troubles and we're just honest, like, "Hey guys, just so you know, like, we are here, but we have no power in the bus. We blew a tire, and this has been terrible, but we are glad we are here because that's the reason we're here. So if we seem a little tired, it's because there was no AC and it's in the middle of summer, but we're glad we're here." There's stuff like that where you can be a little bit honest with some things, but then other things it's
Yeah.
like, "Okay, just know, guys, we're here. If we seem a little distracted, we're going through something, but we're here." And you just use the stage to just let the music be an outlet. So those nights are not just for the fans, those are also for yourself.
Yeah, totally.
But it's I've found usually when I get off the stage those times, it's like, okay, I feel a lot better, and then I can go and talk with people, and then meeting with people and being able to hear people's stories helps a lot too. It's like, okay, we are doing this for a reason. These things are making a difference. I think God definitely uses those times to remind us of that. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna send this person because you need to hear that, and it's always ends up working itself out, which is cool.
Well, and I think you've got a really cool situation with Seventh Day Slumber and that you're able to, like, you kind of have mentors, right?
Mhm.
So you have people that have been doing this for years and have a
Yeah.
lot of experience to help, like, guide you along, which I think is absolutely incredible to have, kind of
Mhm.
like legacy to follow, right?
Yeah, and that's what because some people are like, "Ah, I wish you would tour with another band." "Oh, when are you gonna tour with another band?" It's like, yeah, it'd be cool to tour with another band, but I get to tour with my family, and I get to
Yeah.
ask them any questions, and no questions are stupid when it comes to them, and there's plenty of people that would look at me like I have 3 heads if I asked them that, but nobody
Yes.
here is going to, like, look at me weird and be like, "Hey, what how do I do this? Do you know how to do that?" So
Yes.
now I'm like, I'm taking this time to soak up everything I need to soak up, learn everything I need to learn, be with family when I'm able to be with family. And then when the time comes where it's like, okay, well, now it's your turn, go carry this legacy on. I have all of that
Yes.
to fall back on. And not like they're gonna growing anywhere, but at some point
But
if
you're
they
right.
decide they want to stop, I
Yeah.
can still call them and have those people. And it's like this is the time to garner those relationships and learn
Yes.
and I we get a little excited, we're like, "Oh, one day we'll be doing this, blah, 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 blah," and I have to remind myself, "Be present because one day you're going to miss this time, and it's important that you don't just waste it all." Um
Okay, I want you to repeat that because I think that is such an important point that so many people miss in life as a whole. So say that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I genuinely have to remind myself, it's something I had to learn, and I don't think I really understood it till I came out on the road with everybody here. Because if you just spend your whole time looking forward to one day, "Oh, we're gonna do this one day," then you're just gonna waste your entire opportunity you have now, and you have to be present because there's so many awesome things that are happening, especially as you grow, not just as a band, but as a person. There's so many things you're gonna look back and you're never gonna be able to have, oh, your first show in Mississippi. Oh, this is the first time your song was ever played on the radio. You'll never be able to have that again. And so it's important not to just waste all of that experience just hoping for some bigger thing in the future, which might not ever happen. And so it's important to be present with the people and just not waste any of that. I think I got caught up in that for a little bit with like, oh, well, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing this. What if we have to have an album in 5 years and blah, 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 and my husband Blaze is like, "That's all gonna be there when we get there. Let's focus on now because we will never get this time back." And so he's been a good reminder, just to be present with the people. Um, I think in the music industry, it's easy to just be like, "Oh, well, you have to focus on your next hit. You have to focus on your next whatever, and you're only as valuable as your next release, and if it does well." That's not true, and you still have to remember you're a person at the end of the day, and the people in your life have so much more value than this product you're creating. And if you forget that, it becomes very quickly to just forget your identity as a whole. And then you just become so lost and wrapped up in this industry that will chew you up and spit you out. And it just hurts a lot of people. And I think that causes so much burnout and so much. just mental struggles for people because it is a very addicting thing, and as soon as you start to get caught in, you get swept away, and so it's so important to have people to anchor you, and that's what Seventh Day and their whole family has been doing for me this whole time, which has been awesome.
Girl, there were so many nuggets in what you just said. If you're watching this, I hope you just rewound about 3 minutes and watch that whole thing again because you're absolutely right, and you're young, so to know that at your age is that's what legacy brings, right? You have learned that by being involved with these people that are speaking that into your life, like your husband, and just
Yeah.
saying like, "Hey, let's stay in this moment like now and enjoy and savor this moment." And it's making your life richer and richer and richer. And I just think that that is, like you said, the music industry will eat you up. You're
Mhm.
not this and you're not that. And there's like all this negative mindset instead of, but we are this, right?
Yeah.
We're playing music and we're sharing our story. And that's beautiful. I don't care what that looks like, and fortunately today, just like your guitarist, you found him on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole new world out there that allows us to share that gifting, and for you to know that it's important to sit, and the one person that shows up that you change their entire trajectory, like that
Mhm.
impact, that to me, that's a kingdom mindset, right? Where you
Yeah.
know that you're impacting people long term, and to relish in it is beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done because, it is when you come out and if there's only 2 people and you're like, "Are we gonna make any money tonight? Are we gonna sell anything?" And it's like, "Okay, take a step back. These people might literally need to be here to continue living, and you have no idea the impact you're going to have. So be present with these people. Even if it's just 2 people that literally showed up, 'cause we have played shows to 2 people before, and it's like, they're here for a reason, honor them, and make sure you spend time with them, and you never know the ripple effect it could have. And maybe they
Yes.
go and tell 1,000,000 people about you, or maybe they just literally have a chance to live because they were going to end up taking their life that night, but something you said clicked with them, and you never know what people are going through, and so it's like, okay, always take a step back. God will provide somehow, and those are
Yep.
usually the nights where either somebody throws some crazy random giant donation into the tip jar, or you don't make any money, but then the next night you sell out of merch, and so it's like, there will be provision somehow. And
Yes.
if you don't make it on this tour, we've had things randomly show up in the mail, or my credit card company has randomly refunded my entire balance that I needed to pay off before. And like, I have no idea why that happened. And so it's like stuff will happen where there'll be a way for you to pay your bills. And if this is where God has called you to be, you have to be just very persistent in that calling and find ways and creative ways to continue to answer that calling, and there's times where it's like, "Okay, well, God says you're done here." So it's like, find a new place where He's calling you next, which is very scary. That's what I had to do to become Magdalene Rose. It's like, "Oh my goodness, I don't wanna be on this journey," but
Right.
if I wouldn't have followed Him, I never would have gotten to experience any of this, and I never would have gotten to marry my husband. It's just been definitely a scary journey, but I'm learning to trust God through it, and it's definitely paying off because I was a very miserable person, and He's healed my brain in a lot of different ways. He's healed the way I'm able to have relationships with people, and it's just paid off in so many different aspects of my life. Even though there were parts of it that were really terrible and, like, scary, but God walked with me through all of it. So
Well, and that is exactly what he promises us, is like even in the middle of the messes, he is
mhm.
working on things that we never even may know we need to have
Yeah.
healed or fixed.
Yeah.
And he is just coming along and he's doing all these things that we can't even see, just like breathing, right? We never think about breathing, we just do it.
Yeah.
But our breathing system was important to God, and he set all of that into motion, and he'll do that relationally and with our own healing from past and trauma, and so that's so cool that you've seen that actually manifest in your own life as you've
Mm.
gone through this journey of, separating from your sisters and conquering fear, because fear will steal, and so being able to conquer that to move into this new space, and you're killing it. Your voice is fantastic. I
Thank
love to
you.
listen to you sing. Yes. Do you ever like from the yelling part, does your voice ever get rough afterward?
Most of the time, no. Beginning of this tour, I was fine in January and February, and then literally this tour with Altira and Seventh Day Slumber, I was good until the night we left, and my tonsils swelled up so much, and I was like, "I have no idea what's going on. I have no other symptoms. I'm not like I don't have a runny nose, I don't have a fever, I have no idea. My throat doesn't even hurt, my tonsils are just swollen," and then I lost my voice, and I was like, "How am I supposed to play these shows?" I can't sing, I can't scream. You do all the things. You drink tea during the day, you, like, go on vocal rest, you drink water, you chug water, you try to sleep early, you take the medicine, and I was able to get through the show, and then I would lose my voice by the end of the night, and I'm like, "Oh, no. How am I supposed to play tomorrow?" And the same thing. Get through the show, you lose your voice by the end of the night. But that was literally, like, 2 weeks ago, and I was, like, panicking because I was like, "This is my instrument. How do I play a show without my instrument?" And it was just cool because all the girls in Altira, they came to me after one of the shows and they're like, "We heard your voice when you were talking," and we were like, "We need to start praying." And we just prayed for the entire show backstage. And I was like, "That's so crazy," because when I would talk on stage, like, I would sound like this, but as soon as the music started, I had a voice to sing. And I was like, "That's so crazy." And we pray before every show, but I think just having an extra, like, group of people interceding for us on our behalf was really just something that God was pulling through, and I'm like, every time I'm like, "God, you're gonna have to be my voice because I don't have one." But as long as I'm not sick or there's no weird tonsil swollen thing, I'm usually good. And, like, even this past week when we left, I was like, "Okay, my voice is back, I think I'm good, and I'm just gonna take it easy." Still performing, but it's like, "Okay, I think I'm okay. I'm still gonna go to bed early just in case."
So, I'm gonna encourage you to write that down because that is a miracle that
Mhm.
God did for you in this season, and I think if you will jot that down, put it in notes in your cell phone, and look back on that, you're gonna be like, wow, it's maybe a nugget you don't even know you need 20 years down the road, but that's this
Mhm.
faithfulness thing that God does that's really cool. And what you said about interceding, I was just thinking a minute ago when we were talking about like bands having a rough day, a rough time, and then they perform. Like that's an encouragement to me. If you're in the Christian scene, especially, and you're going to these shows, like interceding while you're
Mhm.
watching these bands on behalf of the bands and what they're going through, and, I that could change the entire atmosphere, so that's an encouragement to me because I really haven't thought about that before,
Mhm.
but I think I'm gonna start doing that from now, so
It definitely
even
works.
voices, right?
Yeah, you
Let their
never
voice
know.
work.
You may never know the, like, effects that it has, but, like, it works for sure.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell me about your album. You guys just released it last year, The Heart that Bloomed After Death.
Yeah, so that is our debut album, and it was, like, 3 years in the making, and we released some singles, and we released an EP because we didn't have money to continue to finish the album, and then we started to release singles as we got more money to actually get them mixed and mastered, and we do a lot of stuff in-house to try to, like, avoid that, but
Yeah,
our guitar player our guitar player Weston at the time was learning how to, like, mix and master and stuff, and so he was producing everything with my husband Blaze, and then we would go and write things, and then we'd have to go on tour, and then we're like, "Okay, we have to be on tour right now," and then we come home, like, "Okay, we have to write some more music," and then, he was still learning how to, like, do the finalized thing, and so we would send it off to somebody to get mixed and mastered, but now he's learned how to do it, so the next one should be a lot quicker, it shouldn't be a 3-year process,
that's
but
awesome.
it really was just, like, this story of me and trying to figure out who I was, trying to figure out, like, the things that God has delivered me from and where that puts me in life. And I really had become just so much of, like, being in a band with my sisters, I didn't know who I was outside of that. And so when we started Magdalene Rose, Blaze, my husband was like, "Why don't we just figure out who you are and we'll write about that?" I was like, "Okay, but I don't know." Like, I don't know who I am. I don't even know what I like. I don't know what I like to do. I don't know anything. And so I really had to just, like, kinda start at ground zero and we wrote about some of the things like God has delivered me from an eating disorder, and he's healed my mind from depression. I don't have to take medication anymore, which is awesome. And so we wrote
Amen.
things like that where it's like very obvious things that we can write about. But then there was stuff where it's like, well, I wanted to write a song for my friend who has struggled with self-harm. She had asked if I ever wrote a song about that. I was like, I've never personally struggled with self-harm in that way, so, like, I don't know how to write about that, and so we sat down, we're like, "Okay, let's do this in a way that helps people feel seen, but doesn't, like, just condone the behavior, but also doesn't
Right.
trivialize it and doesn't make people feel belittled about it, and, like, how do we balance that in the right way?" And then we wanted to write a song just about I had people that I knew in my life who had struggled with childhood sexual abuse and, like, were struggling and learning how to live life with a new normal then. I
Yeah.
wanted to write a song for them, and so there's some songs like that that are for other people in my life that maybe I personally hadn't gone through, but I care about them and they're part of my life, and so I wanted to include that because it's like, okay, this is things that I've been through, but Magdalene Rose isn't just about me, it's about the people in my life, it's about the people that matter. And then we're like, okay, well, how do we like just bookend all of this? Because these songs kind of go together and there's definitely a theme, but how do we tell
Yeah.
people that? And so the first and the last song are both just about my like walk with God and learning how to trust God and learning how to open back up to God because at first I was very angry and I was very confused of why God would just take everything that I thought was supposed to be my calling away and throw me into this completely new world, new scene, new people. I had no clue what I was doing. And so I was very angry with him and I was confused and having to process loss and like grief, even though people were still there, but like I felt like my life had been torn away. And yeah, I just didn't talk to God for a while because of that, and then if I did talk to him, I was just like, "I just don't understand." Like, that was, like, the only conversations I would have with him, and, um, then Blaze started to help me, like, open back up to God and, like, just find healing in him through my just my mind and my mental space, but also my heart needed to find healing. And so the first song is called I Don't Know Where to Start because that's literally where it felt. I don't know, God. Where do I go from here? Like I've tried to figure everything out on my own because I was angry at you and now I know
Yeah.
that wasn't right, but would you even take me back? And if you wouldn't, I would understand that it would make sense to me in my human mind. Why would somebody ever take somebody back for doing that?
Yeah.
But he did, and he's moved in my life so much, and the last song is "The Heart That Bloomed After Death," the title track, and it's just about that transformation in my life, and you'll be being this cynical, like, miserable, struggling person who was afraid to talk to people and afraid of everything and just angry to this person who's now experiencing so much joy, and even in times where I don't know what's going on and I want to so quickly fall back to trying to control everything, I'm learning to let go and trusting God and trying to figure out where He's directing me. And it's just, I don't know, I think who I am now would not even recognize or like the person I was 3 years ago. And so there's not just like this physical change in me because I feel like I do carry myself differently. 'Cause I know who I am now. I know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I'm not just Magdalene Rose. It's like I know who I am in Jesus now too. And there's a
Yeah.
different confidence you have and there's a different peace you have. But there's also just this whole physical and spiritual or mental and spiritual change as well that's happened. And so it's like, okay, how do we put that into words? And so
Yeah.
it's just a song about gratitude and being brought back home. Okay, how do that those seem pretty good bookends to this whole of who Magdalene Rose is, what I've gone through, the people in my life that have gone through, and this is who I am now, which is so different from the beginning. But I think it's something that I can look back on now and be like you were saying, this is a visual representation of where I've started and where I've come from. And so when I am in those spaces where it's like, "Oh my goodness, how am I ever gonna break out of this? This is so terrible. I hate that everything that's going on." I can look back and be like, "Okay, this has happened before, maybe not in the same way, but I've been in this space before, and I'm not stuck here. I can get out, and God has pulled me out of it, and He didn't just pull me out of it, He went through it with me the whole time, so I'm not
Yes.
alone." And so I can look back at that and see that it's been done before, so it's not impossible. But it's been cool because I feel like so many people have related to it that I just was not expecting at all. And I was like, "Okay, well, this is the first album we're putting out, and maybe 40 people will listen to it, and that would be cool. And I don't know if anyone will like it." And then just completely I've seen stream numbers that I've never seen in my entire life. I've seen album purchases that I've never seen in my entire life, and it's just me and Blaze
Yay.
packing pre-order albums and, like, sold out twice, and so we're packing everything we can as fast as we can, and I was like, "We'll make friendship bracelets for everybody that orders," and then I'm like, "Oh, why did I say that? I really thought we were gonna have 2 orders, and now I have to make 300 bracelets and socks," and, like and I don't know, it was awesome to see. I still get messages from people, they're like, "You have no idea how this song impacted me. I don't know how you knew what I was
Yes.
going through." And I was like, "I didn't know what you were going through. That's just what I was going through, but it's awesome that it's helping you." Um, it's just really cool to see people react in that way, because before it was like, "Oh, this is a band that I'm part of," and now it's like, "Well, this was generally just me, and this is the story of me, so I hope you like it,
Yes.
and if you don't, then I guess I'll go cry myself to sleep then."
Well, Modern Genocide is a very powerful song, and I think it's so relevant for this season and what is happening in the church, what is happening on a global scale, all the way into the house next door, right? Like,
Mhm.
I really feel like that song is a song in this generation that a lot of people could absolutely find some healing with, for sure.
Mm.
So, was there a particular situation that sparked writing that song? Is that the one that you wrote with your friend that
Yeah,
had gone
that one
through?
is for my friends who have struggled with childhood sexual abuse,
Yeah.
and some of them, like, I had known of it, but I hadn't had a conversation with about it, but my husband and I had just been seeing so many different news stories about more missing children. We can't find these children, or these children are being trafficked, or like, just mothers coming on the screen asking people to find my child, and I was like, "This why is this happening so much more?" Like, maybe it's been happening this much and we just haven't seen it, and so now it's just being televised a lot more, and I was like, "We have to say something," but I don't know how to say something in the way that's appropriate, because a lot of times it is just like, "Oh, that's bad," and we move on. And I was like, "I
Right.
don't wanna just say that. I want to give these children a voice, especially the ones that
Yeah.
we never find or the ones that when we do find them, they're gone." And I want to help say something that wakes people up because it isn't just bad. This is terrible. And these are very real, horrendous things that are happening to children. And we should
Yeah.
be more outraged by this and we should be doing more to help. And the fact that it is happening in some churches is so disgusting and heartbreaking because
It's devastating.
the church is supposed to be the place where people get help. It's supposed to be the place where the Bible literally talks about protecting children and protecting orphans and protecting women and widows, and they're being so abused by people in churches, people outside of churches, and I think Jesus would be horrified by that.
Yep.
I want to write something that conveys that. You know, we at first when we were writing it, there were some things that we were throwing out lyrically that I was like, "Is that too far?" I don't want people to not listen to it either. My
No, I
husband
think
was
it's
I don't think we pull our punches with this one because if we were trying to make a statement, if we were trying to help people feel comfortable sharing their stories, they have to know that this is about them. And there's no way they're gonna know if we just hide it in, like, vague wording. And so
yep. You can't
it
soften you can't
yeah,
soften that topic. Absolutely.
yeah. And
There's a song by Skid Row called, "In a Darkened Room." If
mm,
you've never listened to it, go listen to it because it talks about this same sort of thing, and
mhm.
it's so powerful, and I think the way that Modern Genocide is written is in your face appropriately.
Yeah, and I after we wrote that song, I had that conversation, oddly enough, with some of those friends, and I was like, "I am so sorry, like, there's nothing else I can say, but I'm so sorry, and I'm here for you, and I know that that happened a long time ago, but I'm here for you now," and, I showed some of them the song, and they're like, "Thank you."
Yes.
and, like, not to put anything on me because I had no idea how to write that. I had no idea how to talk about that in a way, and so I definitely do feel like God definitely helped us find those words and find the way to say things, but we haven't played it live in a hot minute, but when we were playing it live, there were some people more people than I ever expected that would come up to me and they're like, "This song is what I need." Like, you
Yep.
have no idea, and it's not just women, it's not just children, there were men coming up to me and they're like, "I've never
Yeah.
been able to speak about this because I'm supposed to be a man, I'm supposed to be strong, but what was the name of that song because I really need it." And so it's like, "Okay,
Yes.
wow, this is something that I never thought would have that much of an impact," and I just was like, "Well, maybe if a few people hear it, they'll be a little bit more aware." But the hope was that it would help people, and so the fact that it is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I think that it will continue to impact as people find it and are hearing it more and more because it is so I don't even know that people understand the depth. And really,
Mhm.
even if you weren't sexually abused, if you experienced abuse growing up as a whole,
Yeah.
whether it's serious emotional neglect or physical abuse, I still think that that song touches on the feelings that somebody would feel from that and just the heart, the devastation.
Yeah.
But it's got some powerful lyrics that I think were definitely Holy Spirit inspired.
Yeah.
And, the title track, "The Heart That Bloomed After Death," that's kind of a love song. Yes.
Yeah. It's definitely like, there was parts where it's like, okay, I sometimes I'll post it and I wrote the song about God, not a person, because it's a love song, but to God.
Yeah.
You were there for me and you took me in
Yes.
after all of this, despite all of this. Yeah, it's not the weird I don't know, sometimes I think there's some worship songs that are, like, weirdly a little bit too much love songs to God. I'm like, it's not like one of those, it just generally is, "You were there for me," and think of the most perfect person you could think of who has always loved you, who's always been there for you, who's always supported you, and multiply that by 1,000, and that's who God is. And so I wanted to write a song, and I didn't know how to write that song either. Like, it's so funny because I feel like I don't know how to write any of these songs, and they just somehow came to me and or my husband or whoever we were writing with at the time, and, yeah, I think it's one of those things where I kind of like that I don't know how to do some of
Yeah.
this stuff because God doesn't really always call the people that know what they're doing because they're the ones who are gonna question it the most and be like, "Well, actually, I think it should be done this way." And, well, God is telling you to do it that way, so he doesn't care what you know, like, and so there's times I'm like, "Okay, well, I might not know what I'm doing, but I'm willing, God, I'm willing to"
I can relate to that. All of my books, I think I know where it's going, and God's like, "No, just kidding. We're going this way." And my mind is blown every time, so I totally get that.
Yeah, and I think that's where some of the most authentic work comes from because it's not these people trying to, like, talk at you. It's, "No, this is how it is. This is what's coming to my mind. This is the things that I've gone through, and I'm just gonna lay it out there. I'm not gonna talk at you and be like, 'Well, this is how things happen, and you should blah, 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 blah.'" No, this is just raw honesty, and I think that helps people a lot more.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the Bible calls us to, is truth.
Mhm,
And honesty and truth go hand in hand. You can't have truth without having honesty.
mhm,
And I think when you are honest with yourself, that's when God's truth can blossom the greatest. It's when we're lying to oourselves and we're trying to fool ourselves that God's truth really is sandpaper on our cheeks and being
mhm.
like, no, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you just want everybody to know? Where can they see you coming up? Is there a specific tour or anything? What
So we tour most of the year, which is awesome, and I'm about to be releasing more tour dates soon, and we would love to see people at a concert. We play at churches, we play at, like, regular clubs or venues, we play at school gyms, we play at auditoriums, we play at civic centers. We do a lot of stuff to be places where a lot of people will be able to come and not feel uncomfortable, and if maybe you've never stepped foot in a church, we try to do some things where there are more community events, so maybe you'll feel a little bit
Yeah.
more comfortable to come. And so I'm releasing more tour dates soon, which is awesome. we're going back out on the road for the Y2K tour, which is Jason Dunn of Hawk Nelson and Nate Parrish and me and 7 Day Slumber. We're going to the West Coast this summer.
Awesome.
So we're really excited. We're gonna be hitting all of like the Southwest states, but also we're going to the Pacific Northwest, which is fun. And I don't know that a lot of people really go there a lot because it's hard to get all the way out there. But
Yeah.
we are putting it all into one tour, so it's a little bit easier.
That's a great lineup too. I would love
It's
to see
so
one of
much
those shows.
fun. And like
Yes.
the guys are so great. We did it January and February, and it's just a great group of guys. Everybody is so nice, but also funny. They get along really well with our crew, and we all just hang out, and Jason usually brings his son, which is cool 'cause we have an 8-year-old in the bus with us and talking to him and as he's figuring out life.
That's
But the
awesome.
shows are so fun too because it's all a bunch of, like, pop punk and emo people coming to a show. "This is what concerts are supposed to be, it's happening again!" And so that
Yes.
one I'm really excited. We're about to have some more tour dates announced for that one too. So all my social medias, I'm the one who runs them all. I announce everything I can as quickly as I can on there. So all of my social medias are official Magdalene Rose, and my website's also official magdalenrose.com, and tour dates will be there. Anytime there's any type of music updates, it'll be there. We are actually also in the middle of writing new music, so we don't have any confirmed release dates yet or even songs that are completely done yet, but there is going to be new music this year, which I'm excited about. I feel we've been playing a lot of the same songs, and then we started to add some of the new ones, but there weren't a ton of new ones on the album, so we're still playing some of the same songs we've been playing since the beginning of Magdalene Rose. I'm excited to get more new ones into the set for people, and we've talked about even if we finish some songs before we even have a release date, maybe adding them into the live show so people can hear them
Yeah.
first, which I think
They
is
get to
always
be
a
your
fun thing to
beta
do.
testers.
Yeah, so there's a even more incentive to come to our concerts because you never know when we
Yes.
will start playing new
That's
music.
right. That's right.
But, yeah, there's lots of good things coming. We are actually on tour with Altira in 7 Day Summer right now, which is Dawn Michelle of Firefly's brand new band, and it's an
Awesome.
all-girl band, so I've had extra girls to hang out with, which is so fun, and I'm trying to convince them to do a second leg of that later this year. Maybe we'll be able to go back out with them. Um,
Yes.
I don't know, there's a lot of cool things that are, like, kind of in the works. I'm hoping to announce them soon, and I don't know, it's just really cool. I'm very excited about this next chapter of Magdalene Rose, but touring is the biggest thing, and that's one of the only things that I'm really allowed to talk about right now. Make sure you come to a show because sometimes I'm allowed to spill the beans a little bit more at concerts because they can't catch me.
Yes, I love it. Well, I encourage you guys to get out to see Magdalene Rose and listen to their songs, follow them on the socials because they're a voice that needs to be shared and heard. And I believe if there's not more than one, there will absolutely be one song that I think speaks to your life and your space. And so get on official Magdalene Rose, all the places, and follow and keep up. Thanks for joining us, and we'll
Thank you
see you
for
later.
having me.